Have you ever heard the famous saying, "The only certainty in life is death"? Well, what if I told you that according to the Bible, there are some people who have never experienced death? Yes. While many might think of Jesus as an example, the truth is that the Gospels clearly state that he did indeed face death before resurrecting. However, there are three biblical figures who never faced that inevitable end. The most incredible part is that the third of them carries one of the greatest mysteries of the Scriptures. Today, let's explore these astonishing stories. Number 1. Enoch. The first of these enigmatic figures is someone who walked a different path, one of profound communion with the divine. He was a direct descendant of Adam, but not through Cain, the first murderer, nor through Abel, whose life was brutally taken. He descended from Seth, the third son of Adam and Eve. His lineage connected him to men like Noah, and he lived in a time when humans still enjoyed impressive longevity, a period when life easily surpassed centuries. His name is Enoch. At 65, he became a father and lived to the remarkable age of 365. But unlike other men who lived lives steeped in their own ways, often in sin, Enoch made a singular choice. He decided to walk faithfully and unwaveringly with God, and that choice changed everything. The Bible tells us in Genesis that Enoch walked with God and was no more, for God took him. But what does it truly mean to walk with God? Enoch sought divine guidance in every step, in every decision. He was not just a man of faith, he surrendered every aspect of his life to the Creator, transforming his actions, thoughts, and intentions. Unlike most around him, who followed twisted and corrupt paths, he remained on a journey of total surrender and reverence. This connection was so deep and authentic that the Bible states God took him, as if he could not bear to see a soul so close to him in a world so distant. To the ancients, Enoch's disappearance was a divine mystery, an unprecedented event. He did not face death but was taken, carried to an unknown destiny that only God knows. In other passages, such as Hebrews, Enoch is remembered as someone who pleased God in a way that transcended human limits. Scripture makes it clear that through faith, Enoch was removed from this world without experiencing death because his heart was in total alignment with the Lord. It is interesting to note that Enoch not only walked with God but also prophesied. According to the book of Jude, he prophesied about the divine judgment to come, foreseeing the Lord's coming to judge the ungodly. Thus, Enoch was a man of vision, with such intense spiritual insight that his own time and space seemed insufficient to contain him. He looked to the future beyond earthly existence with a spiritual certainty that set him apart. His lineage also carried this mark of faithfulness. His great-grandson Noah was the man who, amidst a corrupt generation, found grace in the eyes of God and was chosen to build the ark that would save humanity from a great flood. The faith that began with Enoch reverberated through the generations, as if his choice to walk with God had profoundly marked his descendants. Number 2. Elijah, the prophet of fire. The second figure who defied the common fate of death is one of the most well-known in the Bible, a true symbol of faith and courage. This is a prophet who lived in times of spiritual darkness when the people of Israel had turned away from the God of their ancestors, indulging in the worship of idols and false gods. This prophet was none other than Elijah, a powerful and fearless voice that arose to challenge the corrupt kingdom of Ahab and his wife Jezebel, a cruel woman devoted to Baal, the pagan god. Elijah emerged like a lightning bolt in the midst of darkness, confronting the king and announcing a devastating prophecy. There would be a great drought over the land, and neither dew nor rain would fall until he prayed for an end to it. For 3.5 years, the heavens remained closed, and the land became arid, a symbol of God's judgment upon the sin and idolatry that had overtaken the people. With each day without rain, the weight of Elijah's prophecy became more tangible, and his figure became a living reminder of God's power. But Elijah's story is not just about prophecies and judgments. He was a prophet who lived miracles, like when he challenged the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel in an epic confrontation before all the people of Israel. Elijah called on the name of the true God, and a fire descended from heaven, consuming the sacrifice on his altar. It was irrefutable proof that the God of Israel was the one true God, a moment that led the people to bow before him and recognize his power. Elijah was also a solitary man who often bore the burden of his prophetic mission with great sadness and even despair. There was a moment when he took refuge in a cave, feeling abandoned and asking God to take his life, believing he was the only faithful one amidst a corrupt nation. Yet, in his solitude, he found God's presence. It was in that isolated place that God appeared to him in a gentle whisper, a calm breeze that brought comfort to Elijah's heart, reminding him that he was not alone. When the final moment for Elijah on earth came, something extraordinary happened. He already knew, as did his disciple Elisha, that the Lord would soon take him. They walked together side by side to the Jordan River. There Elijah took off his cloak and struck the waters, which parted, allowing them both to cross on dry ground. A scene worthy of the greatest deeds of God, a reminder of the power Elijah carried as a prophet. Before he departed, Elijah asked Elisha what he desired to be left as an inheritance. Elisha, without hesitation, asked for a double portion of Elijah's spirit, demonstrating his eagerness to fulfill the mission with the same passion and strength as his master. Elijah, knowing that this request required great faith, told Elisha that if he witnessed his departure, his wish would be granted. Then, at the most mysterious moment of his life, Elijah was taken up. Chariots of fire drawn by flaming horses appeared, separating him from Elisha and carrying him away in a whirlwind to the heavens. Elisha remained behind but now carried the spirit and mission of his master, the responsibility of continuing God's work among the people of Israel. Elijah's ascension to heaven without experiencing death is one of the most iconic passages in Scripture. He not only represents resistance to idolatry and the struggle for the restoration of faith, but also serves as a symbol of hope and faithfulness to God until the end. With his rapture, Elijah became a sign that there is something beyond this world, a reminder that God's power transcends the limits of life and death. Number 3. Melchizedek, the King of Righteousness and Peace. Now we enter the most mysterious part of this video. Melchizedek is an enigmatic figure in the Bible, mentioned very few times, yet surrounded by mysteries that still challenge us today. He appears in Genesis when Abraham returns from battle and encounters Melchizedek, who blesses him and offers him bread and wine. Melchizedek is described as the king of Salem, which some believe to be ancient Jerusalem, and the priest of the Most High God. Abraham recognizes his divine authority to the point of offering him a tithe of everything he possessed. But who was Melchizedek really? In Hebrews, we read that he has no father, no mother, no genealogy. He has no beginning of days or end of life. Some see this as a possible connection to Jesus Christ, as Melchizedek, like Christ, is described as eternal. Others believe he was a celestial being or a manifestation of God himself, a priest forever as defined in Hebrews. Melchizedek is a character that represents peace and righteousness, but whose origin remains an enigma. Was he a precursor to Christ himself or a unique human priest chosen for a special role in the history of salvation? These are questions without definitive answers, and perhaps we will never know for sure. But what is important is that his existence symbolizes the peace and righteousness that we are all called to seek. These 3 stories show us that the Bible is filled with mysteries that still make us question and reflect. Men who lived so faithfully and deeply that instead of facing death, they were taken directly to heaven: Enoch, the man who walked with God; Elijah, the prophet of fire; and Melchizedek, the king of righteousness and peace. Each in their own way inspires us to live with faith, courage, and a pursuit of truth. If you enjoyed this journey into the past and these ancient mysteries, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any videos that dive deep into these stories that lead us to reflect on the divine and the inexplicable. And if you're curious, another video with more intriguing insights is already popping up on the screen. Click, watch, and continue exploring this fascinating universe. Until the next video, and may God bless your journey.